Hello, friends. This is Miss Ryan, and today I'm going to help you with your ELA assignment. Today you're reading Stone Soup by Elsa Southern, and this story is a folktale. A folktale is a story that has been passed down through word of mouth from generation to generation. It often involves some trickery and has a lesson to be learned. I also want to bring your attention to the words to know. This box says, as you read, look inside, around, and beyond this word and phrase to figure out what they mean. And these two words are barely and town square. And so basically, they're asking us to use our context clues to find the meaning of these two new words. So, before we begin reading, I want to talk to you all about a strategy that I like to use when reading text. So, I like to go to the questions first and read them so I know what information I'm looking for as I read through the passage. So, our directions at the top of this page say think. Use what you learned from reading Stone Soup to answer the following questions. Number one, this question has two parts. First, answer part A, then answer part B. I want to bring attention to that because when we see a question that has a part A and part B, it's important to know that these two questions are related, and usually the answer to part B relies on the answer to part A. So let's go ahead and read through. Part A says, what challenge does the traveler face when he first comes to the town? So I'm thinking as I'm reading, I need to be looking for the challenge that the traveler faces when he comes to the town. Part B tells us to underline a sentence from paragraph 1, and this box that they've inserted is paragraph 1. So we'll have to underline a sentence here that best tells about the answer in part A. See how the two are related? Number 2, what is the challenge the traveler faces when no one will help him? So I need to think about the problem or the challenge he has when no one will help him. I'm going to go ahead and flip. Number 3 says, why does the traveler keep putting his nose over the pot and breathing in? So as I'm reading, when I get to that part, I need to really pay close attention as to why he's doing that. Number 4, what do you learn about the traveler from the way he faces his challenge? So that's a character trait question, something that we learn about this traveler due to the way he faces his challenge. And number 5 is a vocabulary question. So they're asking us to read a sentence from the passage. The villagers ran to their homes, and then they're asking, based on knowing what the word village is or a small town, what's the best meaning of the word villagers? Number 6, they're asking you to read paragraph 6 from the story, and they've inserted it here. So you're going to read that and then underline the sentence in paragraph 6 that best explains why the people bring the traveler a pot filled with water. So we need to also think about that as we read. All right, so now we're going to go back to our story, and today I'm going to read it out loud for you just so I can model some think aloud strategies and marking up the text. So they've already numbered the paragraphs for us. That would be the first step we would do in marking up the text, but now we can go ahead and just start reading. A long time ago, a tired traveler walked into a small village. He was hungry and stopped at the first house he saw to ask for some food. He knocked, and a young woman holding a baby opened the door. So, I'm thinking about the challenge that he's going to face when he first meets this family. Do you have a bit of food for a tired traveler? The man asks. I have been walking all day without a bite to eat. So I'm going to underline that because right now his problem is that he's hungry and he's looking for a bite to eat. I'm sorry, but I barely have enough food for my family, the woman said. When the other people in the village heard the man, they started shutting their doors. Go away! We have only enough food for ourselves, they shouted from behind their locked doors. The traveler sat down in the town square and thought for a while. Then he had a wonderful idea. I only asked for a pot and some water, he shouted. He took 3 gray rocks out of his pocket. With these special stones, I will make a delicious stone soup. Okay, so we've underlined the first challenge that the traveler faces when he gets into town. He's hungry and he's hoping that someone will give him something to eat. The villagers are unwilling to help him. They're all hungry, right? And they only have enough food for themselves. So now he faces a new challenge since the villagers won't help him. So what does he do? He comes up with an idea. He takes out gray rocks from his pocket and he makes a stone soup. Who has ever heard of stone soup? The villagers laughed, but some of the people were curious. I'm going to underline curious because I'm not quite sure I know what that means. They brought the traveler a pot filled with water. The traveler started a fire under the large pot of water. When it began to boil, he slowly added the 3 stones. After a while, he put his nose over the pot and breathed in. Oh, I remember that from my questions, so I want to go ahead and underline that. Ah, he said with a twinkle in his eye, this is almost perfect. If only we had some onions. So I think the traveler is trying to convince the townspeople that what he's making smells yummy, right? A villager quickly grabbed a bag of onions and passed it to the traveler, who added them to the pot. Oh, sighed the traveler, breathing in again with his nose over the pot. This is almost perfect. If only we had some potatoes. The villagers ran to their homes. They came back carrying not only potatoes, but carrots and peas and beans and corn. Everyone wanted to help. Very soon there was enough delicious soup for everyone in the village. They all ate soup until they were no longer hungry. Even today, people tell the story of how such a wonderful soup could be made from stones. So I want to bring notice to what's happening every time he puts his nose over the pot and breathes in, right? He mentions that the soup is almost perfect, but it needs one more thing. So the first time, he needs onions, right? And I also want to show you how a villager, right, one person, quickly grabbed a bag of onions and passed it to the traveler, and he added them to his pot of soup, right? So then in paragraph 9, he breathes in again with his nose over the pot, says it's almost perfect again. This time he requests or asks for some potatoes, right? Then look at what happens in paragraph 10, the villagers. So in paragraph 8, only one villager was willing to help him. But now, by the time we get here, several of the villagers ran to their homes. And then not only did they bring back the potatoes he asked for, but they also brought back carrots and peas and beans and corn, right? Soon everyone wanted to help. So I think he was very clever in the way that he was able to make soup. He also, I think, was very kind because he didn't just take the whole soup for himself. Paragraph 11 says, very soon there was enough delicious soup for everyone in the village, and they all ate until they were no longer hungry. So, with this information, let's go ahead and look at the questions and answer them. Number 1. Part A. What challenge does the traveler face when he first comes to the town? A. He is tired and needs a place to spend the night. I don't remember reading anything about him needing to spend the night anywhere. I know he's tired, but the rest of the answer doesn't make sense from what we read. So B. He knocks on a door and a young woman holding a baby answers. Well, yes, that is true. That does happen in the story, but is that a challenge that he faces? No. C. He is hungry and hopes someone will give him food. Well, we know that based on the information that we underline first in our story. But before we are sure that C is the answer, we're going to go ahead and read D as well. He wants to fix a dinner but doesn't have a pot. And so that was never the case. A villager did give him a pot and some water. And that happened later on in the story. This was not the challenge that he had to face when he first came to the town. So the best answer is C. Part B, underline a sentence from paragraph 1 below that best tells about the answer in part A. A long time ago, a tired traveler walked into a small village. He was hungry and stopped at the first house he saw to ask for some food. He knocked, and a young woman holding a baby opened the door. So I'm looking for the sentence in this paragraph that best tells me that he's hungry and hopes someone will give him food. So I think this sentence, he was hungry and stopped at the first house he saw to ask for some food, is the best sentence in this paragraph that supports my answer for part A. Number 2, what is the challenge the traveler faces when no one will help him? He has to find wood so that he can build a fire to keep warm. I don't remember reading about that in the story. He never needed to keep warm or looked for wood to do so. B, he needed to learn how to make friends with everyone in the town first. Well, he didn't go around to every door trying to make friends with people, so I'm not sure that that's the best answer either. C says he has to walk to another town where people might be kinder to him. He didn't leave the town and go to another town in the story, so I know that's not the best answer either. D, he must find a new way to get people to share their food with him. So D is the correct answer because at first he just thought that he could knock on a door and ask for some food and people would share it with him. But he later found out that he had to come up with a much clever way to get people to share their food with him. Number 3, why does the traveler keep putting his nose over the pot and breathing in? A, to make the people think he is cooking something tasty.